Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, advocates, family members, providers, clinicians, and distinguished guests. My name is Amy Gravino. I'm an autistic advocate, professional speaker, writer, a relationship coach in the Rutgers Center for Adult Autism Services, and a founding member of the Autism to be here with you today. When I was a little girl, my world was filled with experts. Doctors, psychologists, social workers, and even the occasional wayward graduate student crossed mine and my parents' path, all primed and ready to tell us everything, or what little they knew, about autism. But they didn't know about it. In IEP meetings, the head of special education loomed over the table in her bright red skirt suit, blonde bouffant hairdo immaculately suspended in midair thanks to an unearthly amount of hairspray. It was the 90s. And poured over the endless volume of papers those experts had written. Assessments, evaluations, recommendations, always taken in the wake of my worst moments, were read aloud as if it were an arraignment. Teachers and paraprofessionals sighed, carefully detailing what it was like to have a child like this in their classroom. A child like this, who sat there with her parents, unheard and unseen. This was the blueprint. Their words, etched in stone, followed me into middle and high school. My body, either not aware or not caring that I had autism, inconveniently went through the same physical changes as my neurotypical peers. Special interests, or passions, as I prefer to call them, and as we heard earlier, came and went, from the Berenstain Bears to the Backstreet Boys. And every minute of every hour of every day, I thought about things, analyzed, attempted, however vainly, to fit in with my peers as I watched them make the social connections and relationships for which I so desperately longed. The way I saw and reacted to the world around me changed as I changed. But what didn't change was how the world saw me. There was no need, it seemed, to talk to me about what was happening. No reason for any teacher or counselor to look at this girl, sharpening her pencil over and over again just to regulate herself, or anxiously walking back and forth from the classroom window to stand and stare outside, and see her in 3 dimensions, when they had a perfectly good folder of papers to read instead. Just by chance, I recently came across one such paper in the massive 3-ring binder of assessments that my mother still has decades later. Even now, the words of that so-called expert pierced the deepest place in my heart. Quote, Amy displayed no empathy. Amy is very rigid and unimaginative, and is unable to understand the intricacies of interpersonal relationships. End quote. They wrote this about me when I was 9 years old. We don't decide who a neurotypical child is for the rest of their life when they are 9 years old. And perhaps more significantly, we let neurotypical children tell us who they are. But as an autistic child, I never got to do that. What chance did I have? How could I grow? How could I change? How could I become Amy when the world had already decided who I was? When I could never outrun those papers, no matter how hard I tried, nor the dismaying reality that they held more meaning and power than anything that I could ever say or do. This is what happens when pathology becomes policy. Snaps. And I actually can't snap my fingers, so you have to do it again. As I have heard the lived experiences of so many autistic people and their family members over the last 2 days, I have felt so incredibly moved. People who were once strangers from the same state now feel like family, in that intangible, unspoken way that the autism community often does. And one thing that has become resoundingly clear is that behind every bill, every resolution, every piece of legislation is a story. Every ask is someone laying their heart bare and bringing you into their world. It is someone saying, please see me, please see my child. Believe that we are a part of your constituency and that we and all autistic people and their families deserve better. It is a call to action on behalf of ourselves and countless others to do what is right. Our stories and experiences shape who we are. As we now transition to today's discussion, of how lived experiences can inform policy. I hope you will take this opportunity to listen and to let our stories and experiences shape who you are. It's now my pleasure to introduce David Stokowski, Vice President of Advocacy for Autism Speaks, who leads the organization's federal, state, and grassroots advocacy efforts. Dave spent more than a decade as a staff person on the Hill and working his way up to a chief of staff role for a member of Congress. So he understands firsthand the importance of hearing constituent voices and having their concerns inform decisions. Dave has become an expert in autism-related public policy and will moderate today's panel discussion. I'll let him introduce our panelists and begin today's important conversation about life on the spectrum. Thank you.